So I guess let's talk a little bit about the Knicks and the 76ers.
Oh, good. A nice uplifting
A
topic
nice
to get us
uplifting
out of this.
topic, one that's well, you know what? No, but tampering is one that both you and I kind of like to sink our teeth into. So
Yeah.
the Knicks and the 76ers are both being investigated for tampering with Jalen Brunson and PJ Tucker, respectively. I think it's pretty clear there was some kind of tampering that went on when PJ Tucker was known to be going to the 76ers. What was it, like 2 days ahead?
Oh, at
Jalen
least
Brunson.
I think it was probably closer to 4 or 5. I think.
Yeah, it was something crazy. And then Jalen Brunson, I mean, didn't even bother meeting with the Mavs because he had
No.
already decided he was joining the Knicks. Well, how did he know he was going to the Knicks if,
Well,
you
and at
know,
least a day or two out, we knew it was a 4-year deal for a hundred
correct.
ish million. That it was probably going to be a descending like we had an awful lot of details that let's just say it's not as simple as we're signing player X to a max contract.
No, 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 no. It's definitely not. But so here's my question though. We look at this. Like, did tampering occur? Yes. Does it matter? Should it matter? And if it does matter, and it should matter, if the answer is yes to that, the fine, right, the punishment is not nearly enough clearly to deter it because both the Knicks, the 76ers, they're going to say, okay, fine, here, we'll give you a second round pick. We'll take the slap on the wrist, but we got the guy. So that's what matters.
Yep.
So if you're the NBA, you can't keep riding the fence like this. Otherwise, you're going to continue to have tampering. There's going to continue to be investigations, all of that. You either have to get rid of it and just say, whatever, as soon as teams eliminated from the playoffs, off we go. Or you got to start really coming down hard on tampering. And then you got to figure out a way to police that. And I don't know if you want to be in that business.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've done this conversation before, right? Because we had this last year. But I know we have a lot of new subscribers and probably a lot of new people listening and watching for the first time. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, jump in, interrupt if I say anything wrong. Trevor and I are of the opinion of this is stupid. If a guy's in a long-term contract signed, you should not be out there having conversations with that player unless permission is granted.
Sure.
That's a different story. But when a guy is a pending free agent, just let him start talking to other teams. Let other teams start talking to that player because it is what it is. But I think we are both in agreement of either get serious about punishing this or just stop altogether. Just stop these half measures because it doesn't change anything. Exactly to your point. So what? The Knicks and Sixers have to give up a second round pick? They don't care. They got Jalen Brunson. They got PJ Tucker. They don't care about that. They're kind of almost looking at it as fine. Those guys are our new second round picks, right? And they're two guys we would have been thrilled to have as second round picks. So, so that's your problem here, right? That is the mess that this has become with this because it just gets very selectively I don't even want to say it's selectively enforced. It's just there's no real punishment. There's nothing here. It's kind of like, as a kid, if your mom threw out, wait till your father gets home 50 times. And by the time we get home, nothing ever happened. Well, that didn't mean anything anymore. Right. Like I was still going to be a jerk. So, it was, but if it was, hey, wait till your father gets home and then, maybe get a whack on the behind or something, or, a real punishment of, hey, you lose X, Y, and Z and stuck in your room for the next week, well, then maybe it would mean a little bit more. So it's just, I don't know. I just either get serious about it or let's just skip this because everybody does it. No, there's no not guilty team in this whole thing. It's just also too, and I know it's hard on the team side, but you got to be, the teams and the agents have to be smarter than leaking super concrete deal details to the media days and days in advance. It's just that's what's getting you here. If this was all done in silence, no one would care.
Yeah, I mean, we're hearing 3-year deal for PJ Tucker well in advance. Things like that. That's where you run into problems. But again, if you're the NBA, you're going to continue to get stories like this. You're going to continue to get headlines. Knicks being investigated for tampering. But if it doesn't amount to anything, teams are going to say, no problem. If that's the price we have to pay to get the player, that's the price we'll pay to get the player because there's a finite amount of resources, talent in the NBA, and teams are going to be competitive. And if there's an edge that you can gain by breaking this rule and the price you have to pay for it is minimal, they're going to continue doing it. So you either want the story to go away. You don't want to continue to hear teams are getting investigated for tampering, but you either need to stop the whole process of tampering and stop worrying about that. And I think you made a good distinction there between a player who is under contract for you.
Yeah.
I think if a guy is going to be a free agent and his team is no longer playing, then that's where you draw the line. If a guy is
what advantage are you really getting?
Right.
If a player's already a free agent. Yeah.
Exactly. Now you could argue like the Knicks showed up at the Mavs games and stuff like that. Like, okay, that's that's where maybe you start.
And that's where I think they're gonna really get dinged.
Right.
Is because they were pretty overt about this,
right.
when it, but yeah.
So in any event, it's a weird situation that is going to continue to happen until the NBA figures out what they want to do. Do they want to be in the business of being the tampering police? And if so, then you get a little big brother-ish and all that. And then you're trying to figure out, okay, what are the ways around this? Or you go the other way, which I think is the preferred way. And you just say, look, once a team's not playing, if the team wants to talk to a player, that's fine.
Yep.
And then you go from there.
And we'll see here in the next, let's say 4-ish months, if anything happens with CBA negotiations, maybe there are some rule changes made that give a little bit more freedom of conversation, I guess, is the best way to put that.